All right. Welcome to Faces of First Atlanta. I am here with the famous Miss Jean Rawls. Welcome.
Thank you, Brett. I think that's a pretty big welcome, but I appreciate that.
So it's my honor to sit here and interview you. And I think it's kind of fun in some sense because obviously you're captain of the ship and all that fun stuff. But I think there's probably even some people that might even watch this video that may never even have met you yet.
I completely agree. I hate to admit it, but it's 20 years and a 20-year time span. There's been wonderful agents that have joined our organization that really have never put a face to the name of the Rawls Group. So I'm pleased to be here today.
So I'd like, if you're okay, I'd like to just jump in and ask you about your story. Kind of tell me who Jean Rawls is. Way before all this ever came to be. Like, who are you? Where you grew up?
Way before Atlanta. I'm from the cold country.
The cold country.
The cold country, right there by the border of Canada and the United States. I'm from Western New York, which is technically Buffalo, Niagara Falls, but my hometown is North Tonawanda. So if you can repeat that again.
North Tonawanda.
North Tonawanda. So born and raised in that area of 4 seasons, tough winters, but beautiful summers. And I was raised above a grocery store. So my grandparents were butchers and my mom and dad were educators. But truly the theme to my whole story is family. My mom was very dedicated to her family, as was my father. But the decision was made that we would live closest to my mother's family. And that meant we would actually live with my mother's family above the grocery store.
So they had a grocery store, and above the grocery store is just a loft apartment or
full-on apartment. So you can go back to the days where it was a full building and it wasn't as we imagine lofts. It was really rooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, bedrooms, and anything we did upstairs they heard downstairs. So when my brother and I were born, we would always get reprimanded for running up and down the halls because we were really running up and down the aisles
and they're hearing it rattle in
the
ceiling.
Produce section and the dry goods.
That's such a crazy fun story. So but family's the theme there, right?
Family and business is truly the theme. So the entire family worked in the grocery store. So all of my cousins, my uncle worked in the grocery store, and I was little at that time. The other generation was a bit older than I was, but they made room for me. So I got to take inventory of the cigarettes, and I got to stock the candy case. Which
so that was your responsibility,
that was
the
my
cigarettes and the candy.
Exactly.
I love it.
And I made it out okay. I'm not addicted to either of them.
Yeah, there you go. So what observing, you know, your grandparents on this business, the family is in this business. I'm guessing at that time the grocery stores weren't the big chain grocery stores they are today.
No, and what's even more unusual is it was just the beginning of the convenience stores. So the convenience stores had not infiltrated to take over the mom and pop corner store. So we did it all. We delivered to the families that were our favorite customers. We were one-stop shopping. But over the years, as the 70s encroached upon us into the 80s, that corner Quick Trip, and it wasn't Quick Trip back then, it was more
CVS,
7-Eleven, really started to encroach on the business.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what was, as a young child growing up in an entrepreneurial family, right?
Absolutely.
What did you learn? What did you observe? What do you think you still carry today from your childhood?
So there were 2 key factors that were always topics of discussion. You have to remember living above a grocery store, entrepreneurial, but having 2 educators as parents. My mother was an English teacher and my father was a professor. So the key factors were education, that all of us in the family, if we were to obtain education and higher education, we could really develop whatever business we would like to go into. So it was a theme of being educated and then being entrepreneurs.
Got it. So big emphasis on education, you know, furthering your skill sets and your knowledge.
Always be open to learning, always.
Perfect. Yeah. So you graduate high school. I can only imagine what your dream was at the time.
You know, that's interesting. My dream at the time was really influenced by my father, and he
Yeah.
really thought that I should be in the brokerage industry,
Okay.
meaning stocks and bonds and investing.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of corporate of that message there. So that was a bit confusing in the message that, hey, we want you to start your own business.
Yeah.
But I was off to get a finance degree.
Yeah. So the mentorship was the corporate America of that time period was kind of the path, right?
It was, and learn to manage money, I think was a message there too.
Okay, so you
However,
go off.
I went off to South Bend, Indiana, to St. Mary's of Notre Dame.
Yep.
Another very cold climate. And I did obtain a 4-year degree in finance.
Yep.
And a decision needed to be made. Where was I going to go and what was I going to do? I'm going to let you all figure out my age. I graduated in '87 and the market crashed.
Yeah.
So I came from a family that they wanted the children to explore the options. They were not going to give us the answers.
Yeah.
So my answer was to move to Chicago, another cold city, and try to obtain a job in the brokerage industry. Yeah. So long story short, my father flew out to Chicago, met me there, humored me all day, looked at apartments, considered different companies to submit my resume to,
Yep.
and then took me to dinner. And after we ordered, he opened a great big map and he drew a line down the middle of the United States. And he said, I want you to look at every major city from the Midwest over to the East Coast to the South.
Okay.
And tell me why those would not be options for you. So by the end of that meal, we had circled Atlanta.
Okay.
New York was a little bit too cold and out there. Charlotte wasn't big enough. Miami, he wasn't sure about. But Atlanta, he saw a lot of opportunity and he saw warmth. And he said, Jeannie, you have no job and you hate the cold.
Yeah.
So I came to Atlanta.
Really?
No job, but better weather.
From the map discussion.
From the map
so
discussion.
I think it's kind of a cool story because what I'm hearing is here's a parent that was great at instilling values, instilling direction, but not giving you the answers.
Not giving me the answers and also allowing us to have adventure.
Yeah.
Even though we were a very close-knit family, one would imagine that I would be brought back home to be close to the family and live in that area. But the generation of my parents, I think, knew that the family bond was there and they felt confident enough to allow their children to go off and have opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm going to break for a second and fast forward. How does that lesson you learn play out with your sons today?
Oh, there is absolutely, I think I've turned into my parents. I think
that's
that commercial
of, life, right?
of, is it the insurance commercial where you're your parent? But I really encouraged my oldest son, Noble, to look across the United States, and he ended up picking college in San Diego.
Yeah.
And
that was to the left of the line.
Yes.
Just so you know.
I made it a little bit broader an opportunity.
But so you did the same thing. You gave him the consulting. And I think that's probably a good success trait to pull out of this story of yours is sometimes it's good to teach people how to think. Teach them values, put an emphasis on education, but give them the autonomy to design
be on their
themselves.
own and really go through the experience of solving problems and issues and not having the parent, within a few miles to go fix it.
Sure.
So,
all right. So you come to Atlanta.
Yep. Came to Atlanta, still no job. And my first job was for Riches in their buying office, which is in the building that no longer exists, down in the sub-basement, no windows. And I took a job being the assistant buyer for designer dresses.
Okay.
Nothing to do with finance,
nothing
entrepreneurial, and there I am corporate.
Okay.
And I was not in that job but a year, and my father would dial me every Sunday. Jeannie, what are you doing down in that sub-basement?
Yeah.
Are you sure you need to be working for that corporation? And within that year, I had an opportunity through a connection through high school. So relationship building and staying in touch with those that you are close with gave me the opportunity to move to Hilton Head Island to help open the first Remax franchise on the island.
Yeah.
And they needed somebody to run their books. So my finance degree was finally coming into
So the
play.
equivalent of what today is of the MCA role.
It really is.
You were that for that Remax office in Hilton Head,
Yes,
South Carolina, and I'm guessing it was warm, so it fit the
it was
bill.
warm, it fit the bill, and I had the opportunity to work with a husband and wife, Dick and Lois Saunders, who were retired from Armstrong. He was an executive, and they were passionate about real estate and actually brought the second franchise to the island. The first one did not make it.
Oh, okay.
So they were going to relaunch and they were going to make this work. And that was my first introduction into franchise. Real estate and a franchise opportunity.
So from day one, you were in operations and finance and all that. So okay, catch me up. Where'd it go from there?
2 years on the island, wonderful experience, but Hilton Head Island is for two sets of people, in my opinion. Well, three.
Yeah.
Those that are vacationing, those that are in college and want a fun summer job, and those that are retiring.
Yeah.
So that opportunity gave me the experience, but I came back to Atlanta and started a consulting firm for real estate offices to audit their books, to make sure they were in compliance with the Georgia Real Estate Commission. And we actually extended it to other states and went out of state.
Yeah. So in my experience, auditors aren't always the most favored people, but I'm guessing you weren't making a whole lot of friends. But
I don't know. I think we brought a little happiness to it.
I got
so that was short-lived, and I'm just going to move it forward and tell you that I knew travel wasn't in the picture for us to expand this nationwide. So activated our real estate license here, or my real estate license, as did my partner. And it was that same girl from high school who gave me the connection with the Saunders on the island. And she got her license, I got my license, and we both started to list and sell. And we were with Remax.
Gotcha. So here you are starting your sales career. You moved back to Atlanta, but you've got this amazing perspective of the operations of a brokerage. And I always tell people, it's like, once you find yourself on the leadership side, you actually do see real estate in a whole different light, because you're seeing all the different ways people find success or stumble, and you get that perspective, right?
Well, and for those of you that are watching that are in your 20s and barely at 30, that's an interesting decade. You're trying to figure out who you are, where your talents best fit opportunity. So I started my real estate career knocking on expireds.
Knocking on expired.
I physically, we would run a report in the morning and we would scrub it. We would always make sure that it wasn't relisted with someone else. And then I had a packet that was a preset packet that we would personalize. And literally I would do a map that I would print out, and I would highlight where I was going, stop 1 through stop 8 or 10, how many I could fit in the morning. But I would knock on their door. And I really wanted them to meet me to understand why I would make a difference in selling their house.
That was your strength zone, right? Like you're relational. Wow. So tell me about the first house you sold.
Oh my gosh, Fred, I don't even know if I remember the first house I sold, to be honest with you.
Probably an expired, huh?
It definitely wasn't expired. I built my whole business on expireds, and really that extra time that I took with people made the difference. And if they weren't home, I left my package with a handwritten note, and then I called them that night and said, hey, stop by, missed you, wanted to make sure you got the package. Do you have questions about why I'm different than other realtors in the industry?
So you're selling in Remax, and at some point in time, I'm assuming Keller Williams comes into the picture here. Is there anything in significance of you in your sales career that we should know about?
Well, I will share with you the young lady, Judy, who I was best friends with, who was also with Remax. We were not partners in the business. She actually met a guy at Remax named Sean, and she fell in love. And the next thing you know, I was a bridesmaid in her wedding. And at the same time, I met a guy named Sean.
So you both met guys named Sean.
Different guys named Sean. So what happened there, Brett, that I think is significant for people to know is that when you work hard in the industry, what Sean and I were able to do as a listing and selling couple is establish our reputation. And we established customer service. and we were each good at different segments of the business. And how this leads into having the opportunity to open a franchise is really the reputation that you create for yourself in the industry and how you treat others, not only in transactions, but the co-oping agent, co-oping brokers. And that really leads to how we had an opportunity to meet with Bob Kalinsky.
Yeah. So you were a husband and wife team selling.
Yeah.
And I forget who told me at some point in time, but the comment was, you show up every day and you do your best, and you never let something jeopardize your character or how people view you. And if you do that long enough, at some point in time, somebody's going to come and tap you on the shoulder and have that conversation of opportunity, and you got that tap, right?
Yeah, and I think it's hard to believe when you're young and you're working hard, you're like, that could never happen.
Right.
But I also think another key factor to what was happening when we were in our 20s is we were having fun. We were energetic about the business, and it was really, for me, as a business opportunity of listing and selling, it was a game. And there was a goal to that game, and there was tracking of that goal. So I think all of those things play into your reputation.
Right. So Bob knocks on the door, or taps you on the shoulder, or however you want to say it. And what did that conversation look like?
Well, that conversation with
there was
me
nothing at the
looks
time.
like this.
Yeah, of course.
That conversation with me was, I'm too busy. I have 3 clients on this particular day that Bob wanted to meet. And Sean said, I've met with him for an hour, Jean. I really think you need to rearrange your schedule. And if any of you have met Bob Kalinsky, it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes to understand really what an amazing man he is and the opportunity that he was putting in front of us. Because at that point in our career, we did not have children, and that whole entrepreneurial opportunity was always in the back of my head.
Back to the grocery store days.
Owning our business and having that opportunity to create an opportunity for others was really intriguing to both of us.
Yeah. So that thought process, right? So it's intriguing, but probably had to have been a little scary at the time too, at the same time exciting.
So there was a motto that we had. After that one meeting, we knew that this was something that we were going to dig deeper into. We had made plans to go to Austin. We actually made plans to go to New Orleans to meet with Bob there, because that's where he was living at the time. But we had this motto every day that we were going to get up and we were not going to look down, because it was scary to look down. If we looked forward and we combined our efforts and our talents, we knew we could conquer whatever it was that was this unique opportunity.
So help elaborate that a little bit. So what does look up and not look down really mean to you?
What it means to me is, I think we're all faced daily, whether it's an opportunity to open a franchise or it's just to run your household or run your business, we are all faced with problems coming in and things that we haven't experienced before. We never experienced opening a franchise. We had no idea what the requirements were legally, the documents, then the responsibility of bringing a staff on, and then committing to everything the Georgia Real Estate Commission wanted us to commit to. So if you look at all of those at one time, it's daunting. So don't look down means to get up and decide what you're going to do that day and tackle it and get that part done, knowing the rest of it's there, but you're not going to look down at it. You're looking at those pieces, you're getting that done, go to sleep, get a good night's rest, 3 meals a day, a little bit of exercise, and then pick your next 3 for the next day.
So if you were given advice to successful real estate professionals with this in mind, what would you be saying? Same thing?
Well, first of all, surround yourself with talent. You cannot do it yourself. So remember, I did not open this franchise alone. Not only did we open it as a couple, we then created a core group. And that core group of agents that believed in this concept as much as we did, when we first had the first order of Keller Williams signs shipped to our driveway, we lived over on Eldon Drive off of Roswell Road. And if anybody ever came to our house, we as realtors, Brett, bought a house with a driveway that was steep up. But it was a great house. When you got up there,
you got the deal.
It had a fabulous backyard. But what was great about it is they were all shipped to our carport, and that core group, a large number of them, about 10 to 12 of them,
Yeah.
came over, and we all celebrated that first shipment of signs.
Oh, wow.
So it's, as an individual realtor, surround yourself with support and talent.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you have to be in business with them, or you could be in business with them. It's just surrounding yourself. And I think that's one of the powers of Keller Williams, and certainly the entities you bring to the table, is there's super talented people. And one of the common themes that some of the earlier interviews I had done brought up was, when they were new, they asked the advice of the seasoned people. They would go knock on the door and say, tell me what to do, or show me. And that's that team mentality, right?
It is. And our company is really founded on that.
Yeah.
So not only were we surrounded by the core group, but we had the other offices in the nation that were already open. And those team leaders, OPs, MCAs were just a phone call away. And it truly, what Keller Williams is based on, the sharing concept, we experienced from day one.
And it, I think it's important to point out, because you started the organization that way, and it still exists today, because tomorrow's top agent was a new agent today. And if the top people pour into the new agents today, then when that new agent becomes tomorrow's next top agent, and they have that instilled in them,
they too will do that sharing. Absolutely. It's a beautiful, transition of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pandemics, recessions, as a business owner, I'm sure, even in the grocery store business, when 7-Eleven shows up,
absolutely,
right? There's highs and lows to business, whether you're a real estate professional, a business owner, somebody that invests in the stock market. You've ridden a few in your journey, and what would your advice be around that? I mean, we go up and we go down, and
well, what I haven't mentioned with you today through all this, number one, faith plays a great platform in my world. So having faith that we will get through this, I will get through this, is my foundation. Then coming right back to what I stated before, get up and don't look down. Know that with that faith, you will be carried through this, and you will be able to put the pieces together day by day as more information comes in. We can use the pandemic as an example. Information change daily, but we analyze it and we look at what's best for everyone involved.
And we keep looking up. Yeah. And I mean, here we are in another political season, right? And the temptation is to look down.
Oh,
and
no doubt, to buy into negativity and start to speculate. I prefer to focus my energy on using it with something that I can do and I can change. To talk about what other people might do, I don't find that we get any results from that.
Yeah. And it keeps that perspective, right? Of looking up. So give me some great moments in your journey of the Rawls Group in First Atlanta, and give me maybe some challenging moments.
Oh my gosh,
what pops
there's so many
in your head?
Great journeys. Crossing the 10-year mark, we did a huge celebration here.
Yeah.
Crossing the 500 agent mark was another exciting.
Yeah.
Other times that were really exciting is just growing the Rawls Group. Having one market center that we birthed, and then opening a second, but adopting a third. So seeing the growth around Metro Atlanta within the Rawls Group, and then within the region with other OPs coming to join us.
Yeah.
So.
And then watching Keller Williams expand throughout Metro Atlanta and the region, right?
Well, the region, and then worldwide. Like when we entered in '99, I never imagined that Keller Williams would be worldwide, and that we would actually be consulting with people halfway around the world how to open a market center.
So I just heard last week that the Keller Williams app, you can now search property in foreign countries, which is crazy.
Which is so exciting.
It's cool.
Yeah, it really is.
And it continues to evolve, right?
It absolutely does.
So if you were going to write a book or give a TED Talk, I ask everybody this question. What would the title of your book or your TED Talk be?
You know what? It's super easy for me to answer. Title of my book would be Family First. And it all starts with that family that you are raised in and the family that you're creating and raising others in. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have children in that family. Family is comprised of human beings, and they can be aunts and uncles, they can be grandparents, but it all evolves around the family. And family brings us purpose in life and stability and strength. And it would be family first.
So I think it's a pretty cool thing that Keller Williams puts its value statement out there as God and family first,
Absolutely.
and then business. Have you ever found yourself having to make tough decisions along your journey to keep that as a priority?
There is absolutely no doubt about that. I think that we all struggle, whether we're men or women, of balancing family and work, because we all work to support our life and our families, but there are times where that has that push-pull. And I think it comes back to having your priorities in order. I think everyone is able to make those tough decisions with work and with family when you surround yourself with talent. You know how to cover business, possibly with other associates or those that you're in business with, so you can be with your family, or you bring people into your team that allow you to tailor that time that you're with them.
Sure, you find the leverage, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think your success traits are? I've been sitting here trying to pull some of them out of them in the journey, and I've got what I have heard.
Well,
but if you said these are the 3 things that no matter what, I bring these 3 things to the table, and if I have these 3 things, that's your magic formula for success, right? What do you think they are?
Well, my magic formula, number 1, is work ethic and hard work. And that can be a controversial topic.
How so?
Well, I think that if you don't have a gauge on how much you work and how hard you work, that can interfere with family. And I think that's a very it's a blessing to have great work ethic, but it's also something that you have to be able to tamper and tailor to make sure that there's a balance in life.
Sure.
But number 1, if there's going to be success, it's work ethic. Number 2, it's attitude. I believe you have to have an attitude that failure is not an option.
Yeah.
You can fail through and gain your success and learn from those failures, but in the end, a complete failure at stopping and saying, I'm removing myself, is not an option.
Perfect.
Fail forward. So it's work ethic, it's attitude, and I'm always going to incorporate the third with having faith.
Yeah. You gotta believe, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Jean, I'm not surprised. I'm sitting here having this interview, and I'm honored to sit here and have this interview.
Well,
you're so
I'm
successful,
equally honored.
We are all blessed by all the faith, attitude, and work ethic that you have put into your journey to create this opportunity for us all to be here today.
Well, thank you. I hope that it just ripples through everyone and we continue to have the fun in the journey.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brett.
All right.